Hi there, Sydney Brown. Welcome back. This is the Memoir Mastermind, Writing and Publishing for Beginners channel. And today we're going to immerse ourselves into the captivating world of memoir writing workshops. Now, why do you care about a memoir writing workshop? Well, if you're watching this, there's a decent chance that you're writing or at least considering writing your personal memoir. Now, that might be the whole life story, which would actually be more of an autobiography, but it also might have, just a slice of your life where you have certain things that you want to share with someone or a lot of people. Now, when you go through this, there's a lot that you're going to pick up through the process. If you are part of the I Remember When project, where you are working in my group and you have signed up through the actual project, you have all of your writing prompts, you have all of the schedules and everything that's going to help you get to your finish line. But one of the things that I talk about in there is that it's kind of important that you attend some writing workshops. Now, we're going to go into it a little bit deeper right here, but this video is actually part of your training if you are in the I Remember When project. Now, if you're not in the I Remember When project, absolutely keep watching because you're going to get the benefit anyway. But if you would like some information about the I Remember When project, go ahead and look in the description of this video and we will have information on how you can jump in with us. It is a lot of fun. It is very self-therapeutic. And when you finish, you're going to, at the end of a year or sooner, you're going to have a book that you can hold in your hands, hand down to, family, friends, or work to get it published. And that is completely going to be up to you based on, what journey you take in this next year. But one of the things that I want to make sure that as we go through here is that you understand that you're not alone in this. When people go through their personal memoirs, you feel personal means I'm siloed off. I'm doing this on my own. And yes, in essence, you're doing your story on your own, but that doesn't mean you're totally alone. You're not, because we have our writing community that is free for you. And then we also have, if you're part of the I Remember When project, you will also have private access to monthly exercises, and these workshops are along with that. So let's dive right in. And if you have not yet subscribed, we have a lot of full courses and a lot of great content that helps you become a better writer, learn how to put a story together, whether it's fiction or nonfiction, and also, obviously, how to do a personal memoir. And that is one of our main things, because everybody's story is in them. Your stories are already in you just by existing. And you literally have an obligation. I hate to put that on you like it's a job, but it's kind of like a moral obligation that we need to help other people by sharing the things that we've learned. Now, you don't have to put it in a book form, but why not? When you leave this world, make sure that your lessons, the things you learned, whether it's recipes or funny stories or the traumas that you survived and came out the other side from, people need to hear those stories, and you have them right here. So let's jump into this, dump it all out of you, and then make sense of all of the chaos that has happened in your life. We'll make sense of it, and then we'll go through and figure out how to put it into a great, entertaining. I mean, I don't want to make it sound like your tragedies would be entertaining, but it is in a form that people can read and actually enjoy going on that journey with you. So workshops are vital, so that you're not alone, so that you keep pushing the needle forward, so that you hit your finish line, and that when you're done, whether you're done with your book or your time here is gone, there is something behind that you've left that you've helped other people. And that's what I'm passionate about. That's what I want to be in your life for. I want to help you leave a legacy, to leave an impact on those you care for. All right, so I don't want to get too deep, but there is beauty in doing these, the memoir writing workshops. So let's just talk about that real quick. Workshops are, I mean, it should be obvious. You go there and you collaborate, you learn whatever it is, and then you take what you've learned at that workshop back to your own personal space, and you use that to make your own experience better. So it's important. If let's say cooking, you did not come out of the womb being a great chef. Now, if you're like me, I'm still not a great chef, and I've been through culinary school, but there is a learning process in everything that you do. Everything. You had to learn to walk, you had to learn, and when you take the tips from people who are further along than you are, then you're cutting your time. I don't know how much time you're cutting off. It depends on how much you pay attention and how much you intend to get out of it. But you cut your time invested that you have to spend. So you might cut 10 years off of the learning curve by just going to a single workshop, of anything. It's an amazing thing to give yourself the ability to keep learning, whatever it is, whatever you're passionate about, keep learning. With writing, and especially memoir writing, it's important that you're not alone. And Sydney Brown, I'm the writer. I remember when all of these things, all of the brands that I have, I'm very passionate about making sure you get to where you want to be, and I hope that you you get engaged, because if you don't, I find that I want your success probably more for you than you do sometimes. And that's something I have to work with, because I want you to really, find your voice, find the things that make you confident, things that make you proud of the experiences that you've been through, because we beat ourselves up so much, and we need to stop that. We need to do this for us, and we need to make sure that it is the best experience that we can make it. So when we go through these workshops, it brings writers together. It helps us, because we're all going through, especially if it's a memoir workshop, we're all going through different stages, different processes, different steps, but we all have the same basic goals in mind. And so we have this, village, this tribe mentality, where we all want to interact with each other. We can learn from each other. We can share what we've learned already. Things like that. That you pick up in workshops that you just won't get if you're just just watching videos, just searching the internet, just reading books. You need a little extra, and that's why we have our writing community, is we have that extra for you as well. But today we're going to delve into the benefits of participating in a memoir writing workshop, followed by 10 tips for getting the most out of those workshops. So if you're ready, let's go ahead and jump in, unlock the new levels to your memoir writing journey. And, your story does matter. You may think that it doesn't. You may feel like your life was just ho-hum, but through this process, you're going to figure out what your great stories are, and you're going to be able to share those with people that you love and care for. So without any further ado, let's get started. All right, Sydney Brown back again. We're going to talk now about the top 10 benefits of participating in memoir writing workshops. So, like we've talked about, workshops are really important because it is one of those things, especially in memoir writing, that you might tend to feel off on an island or in a silo all by yourself. And doing these workshops is a really important part. If you're part of the I Remember When project, you will be able to count on about one a month. And going through that is going to be a great way of, getting that the extra training, the extra coaching, and the extra push to keep your needle pushing forward towards your finish line. All right, so number one, expert guidance. When you learn from experienced facilitators who can guide you in refining your writing style and the memoir structure, those things are things that, especially if you've never done it, you don't know how it should be. And though I will always recommend you do your own research as well, you may not have to read 30 other people's successful memoirs to get yours started. Now, I always recommend you read at least a couple because you want to know what the good, successful selling ones look like so that you kind of have a clue of reader expectations. But literally, even if you never read a memoir in your life, you can come into a workshop and get, just a guideline of, what the writing style and what memoir structure should be. And that will save you hours. Number two, feedback. This is really important because when you receive constructive criticism from your peers and from your instructors, it helps you improve your work. Now, keyword, constructive criticism. There are a lot of people, like if you share this with your friends, they may say, oh yeah, that's great. And they may hate it, they may love it. You don't know because they're your friends. They're not going to say mean things to you. Now, if you have a true friendship where someone can be, honest with you, then that's great. But it's still better to have someone give that constructive criticism who actually understands how the structures should be, how your work today compares to where they think you can get. So be careful about who you ask for that feedback. But if you're at a workshop, almost everybody there, even the beginners, have more knowledge than someone might off the street. So it's a great opportunity to meet other people who can give you that feedback. Number three, exposure. So when I say exposure, there's so many thoughts that go through my mind, but what I mean in this case is you're being exposed to a variety of people who have different writing styles. They might be able to share their style. I mean, a lot of the times I will read someone's drafts and I'll be like, huh, okay, yeah, I because when we're talking about outlines or something, I start to envision this. And then when I read what they've actually written, I'm like, I wouldn't have thought that. I wouldn't have done that, but I like that. And it's that exposure to other people's the way they think, the way they do things. And the more you're exposed to other styles, the stronger you get because you get to see what everyone's style is. And then that way, or develop better, you develop your own style. Number four, community. This is something that is super, super important to me. When you connect with other writers in general, but specifically if you connect with other memoir writers, you really create this tribe. Your vibe attracts your tribe. And so your common goal of writing a memoir becomes something that glues you all together, and you care about each other and you want each other's success and you want to get to know each other. They want to get to know you, they want to help you, and you obviously want to, learn and help them as well. So that sense of community in a writing community, we do have that. And again, it's totally free to join our writing community. Number 5, motivation. I really find sometimes I'll have an idea and I'll kind of flesh it out in my own mind, but it's not until I talk to someone else about it that they give me their thought, and I'll be like, oh yeah, and then blah 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 blah. So you may get to this one point where you've taken it to where you can, and all it takes is this one word, one sentence, one input from somebody else who has an energy for what they just heard from you. And their feedback then can spur you into just like a landslide of more ideas and more motivation. So workshops and writing communities are so important to really engage in, because that collaboration, that synergy that you get will spur more motivation. Number 6, craft improvement. Now, what I mean by that, when you're in a workshop, it really focuses on specific writing elements, different things that will help you either go through the process of, identifying your story, or process of writing, honing your writing skills, whatever it is in that workshop. But all of those different things will really strengthen your ability and your craft. Number 7, networking. Whether I went through breast cancer a couple years ago, so I often make references to that. But when I found out, one of the first things I did was I searched for Facebook groups that were centered around breast cancer. So in doing that, I was able to meet others who were going through different parts of the journey that could tell me what my reports meant, and your labs. And when you're doing that, they give you energy. They hold your hand. They carry you through your tough moments. And it's the exact same in almost any sort of a situation where you have a workshop or a group with they have the same goals. You're able to network with each other, get to know each other. You're establishing relationships. It could be beneficial for future, projects together. It might just be the person that you meet gives you the will to push through a tough moment. When you have these people in your life that have common goals with you, it's not all, when I say networking, it's not always about future financial gain, because a lot of people associate networking with that, but it could be, but it doesn't have to be. Just sometimes the ability to take the next step, that sometimes is all you need. And the networking aspect and making friends is super vital to that. Number 8, confidence. When you get positive feedback, when somebody says, oh my gosh, that's such a great idea, or even just hearing, if it's in a group and they're typing it, or if you're in a meeting, a live meeting or something, and just seeing someone smile, having that interaction from others will boost your confidence and again spur your motivation to keep going. And sometimes you may be like losing energy, and that's when you need to make sure that you get plugged back in, whether it's by going back to the group or going to a workshop. You really need to plug back in. And then number 9, overcoming challenges. Workshops provide strategies that handle, typical memoir writing challenges. So whether it's, I want to talk about this, but this part has to be told, but it's boring. And then, how do we feed this information without boring the reader? There's things like that you're going to face in your memoir writing journey. There's going to be a lot of things like that where you won't know how to kind of spoon feed the reader the boring stuff, where they don't even feel bored. They don't even notice you're spoon feeding them until it all makes sense, because you've used foreshadowing, you've used other techniques that have moved the story forward, and you've then enabled your reader to enjoy the journey and enjoy going through the learning things that could have been boring. But going through your writing workshops, that's where you learn this stuff. You can learn it in videos with me as well, but it's also in those workshops. So if you're not involved in workshops, I really recommend it. And again, just a shameless plug. The I Remember When project is something that you really should consider. It's quite reasonably priced for especially all that you're getting, and the approximately monthly, so about 12 workshops that we will have live will carry you through if you let it. All right. And then number 10, inspiration. When you share and you listen to personal stories, they can inspire you. You may not have the same experiences other people have had, but just seeing them go, sharing their stories and how they went through, the bowels of hell, and they came out the other side, and they're stronger and they're confident and they're happy. And you're like, wow, that's so awesome. And you feel happy for them. But then at the same time, you feel, because you see that it's possible, that other people are doing it, then you're like, I need to plug in and get this going. It's very it's therapeutic. It really is. There's so many benefits to workshops. If you haven't been to one, it may be a little intimidating because you're going into an area, whether it's a Zoom meeting or whatever. You're going into a situation that you don't know, you may not be comfortable with, you may feel a little self-conscious or whatever, but don't, because every single person starts somewhere, and it becomes a family. It's a really, really great environment. I hope to see you at one of our I'm the Writer workshops, and the I Remember When specifically for the memoir. And let's move on. All right, so now we're going to talk about the top 10 tips for getting the most out of going to a memoir writing workshop. So I'm Sydney Brown, and this is part of the I Remember When training. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out in the Aspiring Writers group or in the comments below. If you're not already part of the I Remember When project, the information will be in the description. You're welcome to sign up, and we will let you jump in at any point. It is not on a specific schedule. You do it at your own pace. But you're welcome to this training for free, absolutely. And let's get started. The top 10 tips for getting the most out of memoir writing workshops. Number 1, come prepared. You're going in there knowing that it's a writing workshop. So always come to the workshops with a piece of something you've written that you're willing to share. People will, instead of, hi, I'm Sydney, I'm a chocolate addict or something, you don't that's your introduction. It's basically, hi, I'm Sydney, and here's a little something that I wrote. You can do it in different ways. It depends on how big the group is as well, but just make sure you come prepared with something. I would suggest at least 500 words, but depending on what it is you're writing, if it's a memoir, then maybe a daily entry, just something so that we can make sure that it's kind of, this is where you're at right now. We'll know if you're here, here, here. But it's a great way for us to not spend a lot of time trying to figure out what you know and what you don't know. Number 2, be open. Come with as an open book, open mind, and be willing to hear and accept and digest feedback, because that feedback will improve your mindset, your work, everything, and it will potentially improve your entire life. Number 3, actively participate. This is something that maybe your very first time you might feel a little bit paranoid and you don't want to say something that sounds stupid or whatever. Don't worry about that, because everybody shows up the first time at some point. And don't be afraid to ask the questions. Don't be afraid to engage in conversations, to share your opinion, to ask the questions, because that's what we need to get the synergy started. Number 4, respectful critique. And this is very important. If you're taking the critique, you're expected to, hear what they say and not be defensive, and not take it as a personal attack, but take it as something that someone's trying to help you get better. Now, just like you may have to learn to take feedback, there is also the fact that you will have to learn how to give the feedback. So if your mind thinks, wow, that sucked, you're not going to say that. Maybe if it was just you and your BFF in a room together, you might be able to say something like that and not just totally shatter them. But if you're in a workshop, make sure that you focus on being respectful, not saying anything to hurt them, but not sugarcoating necessarily, because they do need to hear what the real feedback is. So when you're critiquing other people's work, just be respectful and constructive. One of the things that I sometimes say is, can I give you my opinion? When you ask that first, they have to say yes, because no one wants to feel attacked, and no one wants to attack. But the person, if they're like, no, I don't know, then don't hold your opinion. But if they say yes, then say, to me, it kind of felt like this. Maybe you're going to say it just kind of fell a little flat. I feel like this could have been so much more emotional if you had done some dialogue and if you had moved the story forward with action. If you say something like that, they don't feel like you're saying it sucks. They're saying, I get the emotion, but I didn't quite feel it. So I'm wondering if. And when you pose it like that, you're not judging them. You're saying, let's see what we can do to make it even stronger. So just as important as getting constructive criticism, you have to learn how to give it in situations like this. Number 5, network. This is an opportunity to connect with other writers. You may get into anthology projects with them. Anthology projects, if you don't know, is when more than one writer team up to share, either by chapter or by page or however they choose, to collectively publish a book together. And, a lot of times those are a great way to get started into the publishing world. But networking is very important. not only for business benefit, but also just because, you found someone who has the similar interest as you. They want to share their stories. They want to have their life matter. They want to make an impact. And not everybody is at that same place in their life and their journey. So when you find the people who are, you need to grab onto them and hang out with them, because you will strengthen each other, you will motivate each other, and your vibe attracts your tribe. So number 6, apply learning. And by this I mean, when you learn something, let's say that we're talking about memory dumping, or something like that, where you were doing an exercise and we're talking about, okay, in my teen years what all happened, and you just start writing all the things that happened in your teen years. Okay, and then in my childhood years, what happened in my childhood years. And when you look around and you see where are your stories, how can you build a successful, doing that kind of an exercise in a group, you may not have the time to really dig in deeply enough, but you realize this is going to be super helpful. And by doing that, when you get back home, or you leave the meeting, whatever the case is, then you apply that learning and use it throughout your whole life. You have literally mapped out your entire life, and you're able to see, where are my stories? That story, that story, that story. Those are the stories that I want to focus on. And it's just by applying the learning that you get in each workshop, it huge benefit, because a lot of the times people learn things but then they don't do them, and that that's not so helpful. Number 7, ask questions. You need to be, don't be afraid to use your voice. Don't be afraid to raise your hand. Don't be afraid to lean in and ask the questions. Clarify anything that you're not sure about. You may be thinking, I think they said this, but that doesn't make sense. Did you say this, that, the other? Because I don't know how that would benefit. And then, the person can say, oh, no. What I meant was, and they can clarify whatever questions you have. If you don't ask the question, you'll never get the clarity. You can't count on somebody else asking the question for you. You should not. I know that a lot of us, in at least my generation, a lot of us thought we had to be quiet and polite and submissive, and we had to wait for someone else to ask the questions. And we went through years of not knowing things that we could have known if we had just been bold enough to say, excuse me, I have a question. There's nothing wrong with asking questions. You should ask them every day. Every day, ask a question. Number 8, share experiences. Sharing your writing experiences can help you. It can help you, because sometimes when you say something, even though it's your experience, when you share it with others, you get even more clarity. And it also can, if it's something that you went through that was tough, it can take the power away from whoever hurt you. It can make you stronger and more empowered. And it can absolutely help other people who are going through similar struggles. So whether it's, sharing your story that you're writing about, or if it's sharing your progress in your journey of writing, whatever it is, share your experiences, listen to other people share theirs as well. That it will create a relationship that could breed, a lot of new BFFs. Having best friends with similar interest, you would be amazed at how you would walk out of a workshop and just feel like you met your best friend or your spirit animal or whatever. It's a great thing. Number 9, stay positive. It can happen that someone is showed up and they're just negative as can be, and they're not feeling it, they're not having it, they got something to bitch about every single thing. You know, so those people just exist. Why do they show up at these places? You may wonder why. Why do you come and you poison everybody else around you? Think about it. Why did they show up? They don't want to be like that. That may be who they are. It may be who they are naturally, but they're there because they're trying. They're showing up because they want to do something better. They want to be someone better. So send them some grace. Let the negativity go in one ear, out the other. Be positive in exchange. Share your positivity with the people, especially who are not positive, because they're either self-conscious, they may have some self-confidence issues, they may have fear. There's so many emotions that may be in that person who's negative. And this is just a life tip, not just workshops, but you may wonder, why are you here if all you're going to do is bitch and moan? But think about it. They don't want to be like that. They don't know. They haven't been exposed to good positivity yet, at least not consistently and not enough. So help fix that problem, and don't feed on their negativity. Don't let them poison you. Let you poison them with love. I feel like I'm giving you flowers now. I don't want to be like overly mushy. I'm actually quite a sarcastic person, but it's so important not to judge people for where they are today, because if you were judged where you were at your ugliest points, where would you be now? I mean, someone has to stop judging and to start loving. Number 10, before I get all mushy, reflect. When you're there, just reflect. So think about, what's going on, look around, notice, absorb, so you can remember what happened. And when you're home afterwards, reflect on it. Remember the experience, remember what you learned. And then if you didn't take good enough notes while you were there, because you may have been busy doing instead of taking notes, then if it's something that you could watch a replay of, that's great. But if not, just reflect and, journal and take notes after in your writing journal, which I know that you have if you're in the I Remember When project, because you've already taken that class, right? So just reflect, figure out what you can benefit most from your experience, and implement. All right. So there you have it. I really hope that this has helped, and I hope that you will, if you're in the I Remember When, that you will show up to each of the, I'm going to call them monthly, but they may not be on exactly every month. But I hope that you show up for the workshops. I hope you enjoy. I hope you maximize every moment that you have with other people who have the same interests. And with that, keep experimenting, keep learning, and keep writing. All right, I'll see you in the next videos.